Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a beautiful Tuesday morning.
February 1st.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, so we've made it past the first month without any major, anything major changing because
survive.
right? Well, I mean, like the trend based on how like recent years have been going, like 2020, 2021. You're usually expecting some major event to happen, like I don't know, Godzilla will rise or something.
Gavin, you just, at this point, you don't put anything out there anymore.
Right? No.
I'll say this much, though. It is February 1st, beginning of Love Month for people. But it is such a beautiful morning out there. I thought I missed the cold front, but this is, it's nice. And I'm jealous of you. If you've not stepped outdoors yet, go outside, at least in the city. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country. And just take it in because it's a great way to start your morning.
Oh, no, absolutely. Sunrise was really beautiful this morning. I saw it when I was getting ready and thought that it would be a great morning to be outside, maybe, to go riding your bike or jogging or something like that. Or just like you said, just walk outside your door and take it all in. And it would have been a great morning for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, there is a lot going on to talk about in the news. One of the things which people have recently been talking about a lot is the pushback of the opening of the borders, or the land borders, that is, when last year it was first announced that it would be in the the borders would have opened in the beginning of January.
That's right.
And then it was changed when the Omicron variant became very prevalent internationally. The Ministry of Health and also Immigration announced that the borders would be, the opening of the borders would be pushed back to February 1st. And again, it's been pushed back by one more week. For more logistics, to ensure that logistics are in place when the borders are in fact open.
Not too long of a delay, but a delay nonetheless. Of course, I know one of the things that was really important was to be able to push back the reopening in January because of the restart of school.
Yep.
We are, about halfway in since school has started. And, when we look at the numbers coming out from the Ministry of Health, although yesterday's wasn't the full picture of the weekend data, we did see at the end of last week that we're seeing a bit less cases. I know that there is the task force that offers advice and that there are some preparatory works that need to be put in place to ensure that the movement across the border is properly controlled.
Yes, absolutely. And that is pretty much in line with what, or with what has been happening internationally with the spread of the Omicron variant.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the numbers and figures reflected here as well. And, in terms of the reopening of the borders, there's two things, or I should say that the concern is both ways, and with Belizeans moving across and having people come into Belize as well. But we will continue monitoring that situation as it develops and keep you updated with any of the major news.
Yeah.
But
the only thing we know that's been consistently said is that most likely, and we have to see it in the actual protocols, you will only be allowed to cross the land border if you are fully vaccinated. That has been, from the first announcement with the possible restart in January, up until our last interview with the Prime Minister, I believe 2 weeks ago, he reiterated that point that it's most likely going to be vaccinated persons who are going to be allowed to travel across the border.
Yep. Again, that's following pretty much international trends.
Yeah.
Unless you can have some form of exemption, but pretty much we're seeing that even especially like if you've been taking part in air travel, vaccination is being required more and more in more countries, and so Belize is similarly following that trends, it would seem.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because there's a big protest at the Canada-US
Yes,
border over a very similar situation where there is a vaccine mandate. This is specifically from truck drivers though, who are trying to move across. They're very upset that there's a vaccine mandate in place.
Absolutely. I saw the news about that as well, and people were begging for calm on both sides, and Prime Minister Trudeau was urging to quell some of the dissatisfaction, and saying that a lot of it is, of course, based on pseudoscience, and that any mandate or policies that the government of Canada wants to enact are based on science and based on the best interest of everybody. And Trudeau recently tested positive for COVID as well, and I believe he's still in isolation.
Yeah, he's working from home while he
Yep.
has COVID-19. So that's happening next week.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, additionally, speaking of people coming to Belize, well, first of all, we've been having lots of celebrity sightings recently. Of course, kicked off the year with the big news of Kanye West's visit. But over the weekend, we saw news that rapper Kehlani was here. She posted some stories on her Instagram that she may have been down south, but the news also broke is that we are maybe getting a royal visit in March.
Yeah.
Yes, so the news did break on several news sites, both here and abroad, that it looks like the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, or if you know them, Prince William and Princess Catherine, will be coming to Belize sometime in March as part of a royal tour. And it seems that they are going to, or the plan is, at least what news reports say, is that they're going to be trying to focus on some environmental issues so that when they come to Belize, they'll be highlighting some of those when they're here.
It's so weird to hear you say Prince William. I think the younger generation have been following them and watched their wedding. They're just Will and Kate to us,
True,
like
right.
Meghan and Harry. There's just we dropped the royal titles with them. But yeah, the news was announced in the UK papers. Well, I should say leaked, not announced, because there's no official announcement as yet. But it is a part of the Queen's Jubilee. Her 75th anniversary of taking the crown is this month.
Yep.
And if we reflect, her last Jubilee, one of her last Jubilee celebrations, we had Prince Harry coming to the country as well. And that was quite a spectacle. So I can't imagine with this couple what it's going to be like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll definitely be following that story as it develops, and we'll see what they've got planned. I believe reports were saying that they're going to be staying for up to 4 days.
Ah, that's a long trip.
Yes, exactly. They usually, when they're on these tours, they usually stay like 1 night or 2 nights. So we don't know what the exact number is, but they're saying that it might be an extended trip. And I believe reports were saying that members from their team from the palace were seen in different locations. One for sure was on Burgers Creek, probably planning some activities. So, given that the theme of the trip is supposed to be environmental, I guess maybe they'll be looking at what's happening with the reef, and perhaps inland what's happening with the rainforest, but we'll see in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we don't have all the details as yet. We've just been getting the story that they are traveling. It's a part of a Caribbean tour.
Yep.
I was saying yesterday, it's real interesting that they choose to come to the Caribbean, especially after the historic move by Barbados just the end of last year to break off from the monarchy and become a republic. I feel like it's an opportunity maybe that they're trying to take to strengthen ties.
Well, I did think about that as well. And
It's just the cynic in me, right?
Right, Well, I don't think it's it's not a crazy suggestion, but I think that could be a part of it, but it might also be just to sort of reaffirm, like as you said, the relationship that we have with the United Kingdom. Of course, we do have the traditional history, but there's still one of our major, let's say, trading partners, and the international relationship is still one that's pretty important. So perhaps the UK is also showing us a little bit of that, saying, maybe it says
Or maybe they just saw everybody coming to Belize and said, you know what, I want to go there
definitely,
too, right?
Yeah.
And make that the longest stay in the tour.
Yes, and I believe Prince William, I'm not sure if both of them, but I believe Prince William is a scuba diver.
Yeah.
It was part of his training. He does like search and rescue in the water and stuff, but I think I've read reports that he also does it recreationally, so where better to come than here?
There you go. That's what it is.
Yep.
That's what it is. Because they saw everybody else coming and figured, they wanted to see if Britney Spears was right.
Right, they saw Kanye and they're like...
But that's an interesting thing. I wonder if when celebrities touch on Belize, they figure, I'm going to Belize. Nobody's going to know.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's going to recognize me. But it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, usually. Although I've heard stories about sometimes from people who've been here that haven't been that when they were not recognized. I remember one of my friends who's a tour guide told me that he did take. I'll keep the actor's name nameless.
Oh, just come on! They're not here anymore.
So, but about halfway into the tour, he said, "Don't you recognize me?" I'll give you a clue. He says, "I was in one of he was in one of the Spider-Man movies." He's like, "Yeah, I was the guy from Spider-Man."
I mean, the number of Spider-Man movies, that's a tough one.
But yeah, that's just a little clue. He said like, "Yeah, I'm kind of an actor. Don't you recognize who I am?" And they're like, "Oh, no."
Oh, so they get offended. All right, so
Yeah.
fine. We'll swoon away when they arrive then, if that helps. But all jokes aside, definitely, what happens when we have celebrities visiting, and even influencers, it's an opportunity for us to get more exposure for people who follow them, see that they vacation here, and then you want to vacation here. And we know how important it is that we keep on attracting new visitors to the country as well.
Yeah, absolutely, especially as the tourism industry still recovers from the pandemic.
Yeah.
Even though their numbers are very encouraging, people are reporting from all sectors, there's still a lot of economic recovery that the country has to do. Tourism industry typically shoulders a lot of the burden for that. So an increase in growth is definitely welcomed. And as you said, these high-profile visits can definitely boost the image and drive up some of those numbers.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a bit of what's happening. There's a lot more happening in the country. Of course, you can find out more in our newscast tonight at 6 p.m. But we're going to keep things moving with our show this morning and get you motivated to start your day. So we'll have our eye-opener taken from dailyom.com. Meditation and prayer can offer us different experiences, and both can be powerful tools. Prayer is when we ask the universe for something, and meditation is when we listen. When we pray, we use language to express our innermost thoughts and feelings to a higher power. At times, we pray words that were written by someone else, but that express what we want to say. Prayer is reaching out to the universe with questions, pleas for help, gratitude, and praise. Meditation, on the other hand, has a silent quality that honors the art of receptivity. When we meditate, we cease movement and allow the activity of our minds and hearts to go on without us, in a sense. If we tend to do only one or the other, prayer or meditation, we may find that we are out of balance, and we might benefit from exploring the missing form of communication. There are times when we need to reach out and express ourselves, fully exorcising our insides, and times when we are empty, ready to rest in quiet receiving. When we allow ourselves to do both, we begin to have a true conversation with the universe.
That's an interesting one. And it's one that I like, and you know that on the show, I've talked a lot about yoga and meditation that I do. So I can relate in several ways, and I think I really like the part about them describing the meditation aspect, at least, of practicing sort of the art of being receptive. And that's really what it is, because you have to, or at least what I do, is apart from, maybe things come up in your mind, or you have questions, but it's really a state in which you can really you receive not only things that you maybe thinking of or whatever, but also just your natural surroundings, receiving all of the information and stuff, and sounds and sights and smells that are around you that you may not necessarily always appreciate. So absolutely great eye opener to start with that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a bit too much pressure, like if you meditate, you have to remember to pray. If you pray, remember to meditate. Just give us a break.
Yeah.
We can all only take on so much, but both are so powerful. And it's interesting because I've heard people say that prayer for them is a form of meditation.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So I do think that you can be able to incorporate both, because sometimes in prayer you're able to have that quiet space and moment in between, which is kind of tapping into the moment itself. So but I think we don't encourage and allow ourselves enough to understand that our brain and our minds really need that momentary pause. And whether it comes through prayer or meditation, it can be so incredibly helpful. I think you can look at people meditating and think it's just nonsense, and then you do it and you're like, wow.
Yeah, because you realize how you kind of often fall into the trap of like ignoring that need to take a break, or just even if it's just 2 minutes to clear your mind. You realize how different and good you feel afterwards, so that you learn the benefit of meditation and prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that is our eye opener for this morning. Now let's find out about this lovely weather that we have been having. And as we said, it's pretty windy out there. Catherine Cumberbatch, though, is going to give us the details. Good morning.
Good morning, Marlene and Darwin.
How
Good morning.
are you?
Let me say, I'm a little bit sleepy.
Uh-oh. Was it a rough shift for you?
No. Let's say several days of working, so now I'm a little bit sleepy.
Well, I know you're almost at the end of your shift, so we're glad to catch you to find out. I was saying I thought I was going to miss the cold front, but this weather that swept in is even better.
Yes. I think about a week ago I had said that the weekend would have been very cold. We would have had some rain, and it did came true.
Yes, that's right. So what are we seeing today?
Oh, well, now, Marlene, the good news is that the weather start to warm up, so all those cool early morning temperatures, you won't be feeling that again for right now until probably the weekend. Another system probably coming in by the weekend. So for the rest of the week, expect a nice east to southeasterly airflow. Temperatures will be in the 80s to the low 90s. In the 80s along the coast and the low 90s. Over inland areas. So we're really expecting warmer temperatures to prevail across the country. And as it pertains to the rainfall, we expect little to no rainfall. So for the rest of the week, it'll be very good weather we will be experiencing. As I said, the winds will be coming out of the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots, light chop seas. So it's very good weather. And that continue right through until the next 24 to 48, 72 hours. We expect very good weather.
All right, and these winds?
The winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots. Tomorrow it should go along a little bit to 5 to 15 knots, but for today we are going 10 to 20 knots. And we expect those same kind of winds right throughout for the rest of the week. East to southeast. Beautiful weather.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
And then weekend again, another front should be coming close to us. But I think that will bring a little bit more rain than cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll soak up the sun for the next few days then.
Okay, sure. Great. You guys have a great day and stay safe.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you have it.
So, yep, we should be having some good weather, at least for this week. Let's hope that there's not too much rain on the weekend, but, you know, it's still pretty early. So
I
I'll
was
keep
going
my
to say,
hopes
still
up.
early in the week. I'm not too disappointed about weekend weather yet.
Yep.
All right, so let's get moving into our show for today.
Yep, we've got lots to talk about. And our first conversation, we are going to be having a conversation all about healthy relationships, and we're also going to speak about abusive relationships, the stigma behind it, and how to leave. And that's going to be our first conversation for this morning.
All right, the second part of our show, we get an update on the sugar crop season. This is going to be from the representatives of ASR BSI. Another important aspect that is developing is the Sugar Act that is being reformed. So we're going to hear from them what their thoughts are on the latest developments.
And our final conversation for this morning is going to be with the Rotary Club of Belize, and they're going to be telling us all about how you can win a brand new pickup and what they are going to be doing with the funds for from their annual raffle. And that's going to be our third and final segment. And right before we wrap up, it is Tuesday, so I'm going to be giving you some trending talks, telling you all about what's been buzzing on social media, and that's going to be our show for today.
So we'll take that break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about relationships, what makes a relationship healthy, and diving into why there's so much stigma behind abusive relationships. So that's coming up in a few.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Hey guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself
and your business to the community. Use our daily classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money.
Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we're back. And as we said before the break, we are going to be talking about some healthy relationship tips, and also we'll be focusing on some signs of abusive relationships and why it's so hard to leave. And joining us for this discussion via Zoom, we have with us Diana Shaw, who is an attorney at law and the executive director of the Child Development Foundation, as well as Dr. Anel Martinez, who is a psychiatrist. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
And thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
This is a very important topic, and the issue of abusive relationships and domestic violence have definitely been at the forefront of several conversations over the past few weeks. Now, I suppose we can start perhaps with Dr. Martinez talking a little bit about how exactly we define abusive relationships and what abuse is.
Very well. So abusive relationships tend to happen in the context of intimate relationships. So within families or in couples. And usually we want to say that the relationship is abusive. There's an age definition that both partners or one partner has to be above the age of 16. Where one partner takes advantage of the other, whether be it physically, emotionally, or financially, and puts you in a position where you feel threatened or unsafe within that relationship.
Yeah. Let me step back for a moment. You know, a part of this conversation is guided by the public discourse. And there's been such opposing views to an issue that we've been battling for a long time. Let me just get a sense of what your perspectives are. Some of the things that have stood out that you have heard or seen in the commentary over the past week.
Well, a lot has been said, most of it wrong. And I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for having this important conversation and for allowing us to be a part of it. I speak on this issue from two hats or two different levels, but which are connected. One as the attorney, in terms of the legal ramification of when we have intimate partner violence. It is a crime, and it is also a specific crime under the Domestic Violence Act that allows persons to access the family court for a civil remedy. But it also creates criminal offenses of harm, assault, and the various offenses under the criminal code that are also actionable outside of the Domestic Violence Act. I want also to remind the public that even if somebody goes to make a report and then this under the Domestic Violence Act, and then decides to take back that report, it does not prevent them from making a second report when another incident arises, and it does not prevent them from taking action under the criminal proceedings in relation to criminal offenses that may have arisen, because I've seen some error statements being made with that. You don't lose your grounds for seeking your rights, and you don't lose standing before the court because you decide that you won't proceed in this particular instance with this report. Every incident of domestic violence is a fresh offense and creates a fresh cause of action. The other thing that I want to also say, which I've seen, a lot of people have been saying if somebody is educated, they should not be in a domestic violence relationship. I've seen comments to the effect that people who are educated should be able to leave. That is not true, right? Domestic violence, intimate partner violence is not the same as somebody grabbing your purse on the street and robbing from you. It's a different kind of violence. It's a kind of violence that affects the emotional, the psychological, and the inner personhood of a person. It is also violence that's connected to people that they have feelings of affection and connection to. So it is not as simple as somebody walking you on the road and slapping you. That's you have no connection to a stranger who stops you, and you'll be very quick to want to seek legal recourse against them or to take vengeance. When you have feelings of affection for somebody who harms you, those feelings of affection affect how you respond and how you seek help. And it's even more complicated when those feelings of affection are based on wrong beliefs about your dependence and survival on that person, which then creates trauma bonds. So you're dealing with the violence, you're dealing with your feelings about the relationships, and you're dealing with the trauma bond that has been created between you and this person because of a pattern of abuse in that relationship and wrong power and control dynamics. So it's not as easy as people think. Over 20 years of working with women in domestic violence situations, we have had many successes in getting women out of domestic violence situations, but none of that is easy or overnight, and none of that is as simple as just getting up and walking away.
Yeah. And from you, Dr. Martinez, what's been troubling to see has been the level of judgment that's been hurled on the victim. Can you talk a bit about, here's the thing, there have been even more recent studies from Spotlight Initiative that show that we have all known or seen somebody who's been a victim of domestic abuse. Yet when we hear reports of it, it seems to be a very difficult thing for us to digest or accept.
Right. And I think the problem starts with our belief and our cultural practices, because to start off with, when people say, well, that's normal, let a man beat their wife. It's not. So we have to start by correcting that idea that this is normal behavior. Because when we normalize it, it makes it even more difficult for the victim to find a problem with something that everybody else is telling them is normal within a relationship. To start with, so it's not okay to happen. It's not normal for anybody in an intimate relationship to beat up on the other, to insult or belittle the other, to threaten the other, or to withhold anything, financial, medical assistance from his or her partner or child or dependent, because sometimes this also happens to people who are senior, and it's not something we talk about often, but it's a common practice. Yes. With the judgment, it's instead of us opening doors for victims to feel safe, to feel like there's a way out, to feel like there will be someone on the receiving end when they make that hard choice to leave out of a relationship, where they have maybe some form of financial stability, a sense of safety at some point, so many shared resources within that relationship. When they have felt so unempowered, they feel defenseless, their self-confidence, self-esteem is below ground, where there's so much self-doubt. Who is there to empower them to say, you can leave, and when you leave, this is accommodations we have for you to leave? The judgment is not necessary. I think there is already enough shame. There is already enough guilt.
Yeah.
There is already enough self-doubt in that situation that society should not inflict much more of it. Or telling the person that, you know what, when they come out of a relationship, they're looked at as weak, or they're looked at as toxic,
Yeah.
or broken goods. You know, who's gonna want you after this, or what kind of relationship are you gonna find yourself in after this? And we need to stop that. You know, we need to be empathic, we need to be supportive, we need to find solutions. I think there's enough judgment as is, but who's willing to lend a helping hand? Who's willing to open a door for that person?
There's a video up momentarily, and I think it's a key point to talk about, because very often we think abuse is about responding in anger, when it really is a different core issue, which is a person who is unable to control their need for power and control. Can we can we get some insight on that?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Go ahead,
This- I let you come in with this psychiatric viewpoint, but I will say that this power and control dynamic is at the root of every form of abuse, whether it's child abuse, domestic violence, which includes intimate partner violence, as well as violence against elders. It's all about the wrong power and control dynamics. And these are based on innate beliefs, core values that the person who is exerting power believes that they are justified, or that they have a right to exert over the other person. And the other person not understanding or not being willing to accept that this is not the right way for them to be treated, and then accepting that treatment very often because they were raised that way, because they grew up in a home where they saw this same pattern being demonstrated, where this behavior was normalized as the accepted pattern for a relationship, or where they have wrong beliefs about their own value that they bring to the relationship. They may feel that they are dependent or inferior to the other person, and accept that the other person has more rights or more power than them in the relationship. And so succumb or subconsciously accept that lower level of treatment that the other person exhibits. But without those wrong power and control dynamics, you can't have domestic violence. Domestic violence comes from this. This is the core part of it. So persons who are exerting power, who then act out and slap, are not doing that by accident. That's not something that is random.
Right.
They're not doing that because the other person suddenly burns the rice, or the other
Or
person
provoke
suddenly
them.
gets up and provoke them. They're doing that because inside of them, they have believed that they have the right to act this way. And they believe that they are justified in acting this way, and acting in a way that is wrong, because they have wrong ideas about the power that they should have in the relationship. They have wrong ideas about the other person's value and about respect. And very often they have wrong impulse control. They believe that force or violence is a justified way to act when you disagree, right? And not that you should talk things out and have good communication.
Yeah.
So I would ask Dr. Martinez can maybe talk about what are those good things that you should look for. How do you know if you're in a healthy relationship? Because everybody knows when you're in a bad relationship. But I find that sometimes women don't know how to look for these good relationship dynamics.
Right. So usually in a good relationship, you want to feel supported. You want to feel safe. You want to feel as if though you have valuable contribution to the relationship. You want to also feel acknowledged that your contribution brings something to the relationship. You want to be connected to someone based on a level of equalness, but not because they are superior to you or because they have much more to give to you than you have to offer them. You want to be of service to someone in a relationship. You're not in the relationship for what you can get, but for what you are willing to give within the terms of that relationship. That's what constitutes a healthy relationship. You want someone to respect you, and you should also respect your partner. All right. There should never be you should always do your check and balances to see who you think is more important in the relationship, who needs to be pleased all the time in the relationship. Both of you have needs, and any relationship, both persons, or more, because there's polyamorous now, both persons' needs have to be met within that relationship.
Yeah.
And, I just wanted to backtrack to one thing that was mentioned sort of in passing. And I believe, Dr. Martinez, when we had first started the conversation, about defining abusive relationships, you did mention, in terms of one of the characteristics that you're using is age, and one person, being over a certain age. One of the aspects of abusive relationships, or some, I should say, which has also been discussed recently, is this issue of grooming, especially when one partner is significantly younger than the other. And perhaps you can give us a definition of that, and what are the features of that type of a relationship and how that can lead to abuse.
Okay, so I think with any relationship where it leads to abuse, there's certain things we have to look at, right? And I think this fits into grooming too, where there's this really intense start to the relationship. You're on the phone all day, they're checking up on you via text, who you're with, where you're going, what time you will be back. There's also this intense show of affection, whether it be with physical gifts, with hovering over the person, excessive public display of affection, So normally if you're starting a relationship and there's just this level of intensity to the relationship, that could be a red flag. I'm not saying that all intense relationship will turn into abusive relationships, but that's how it starts. So I'm showing you that I love you and you are the best thing that happened in this world, just before I start to isolate you. So I want you to spend more time with me because you're supposed to love me. You're supposed to want up on the phone with me. You're supposed to want to talk to me. You're supposed to be checking in on me or checking in with me about your whereabouts. And then guilting you into, you should spend time with me and not with your friends. We're in this relationship together now. It's about us. And so that lets you start to cancel engagements with your friends, with your family. There's a story of this guy who utterly proposed to this lady, I love you, you're the best thing that happened to me. I'm gonna quit my career, I want you to quit yours, and we're gonna move to a quaint town. Sounds all good. They get to the quaint town, and that's when he starts yelling at her, breathing up in her face, talking down to her, and then he apologizes. You know what? I didn't mean to, it's because of my trauma. They blame all these other things for the root cause of their relationship. It's not about you, it's what I've been through. And that puts the person in a situation where they feel like, I am the strong person who has to keep my dysfunctional partner grounded. So they find a sense of purpose in that relationship.
Yeah.
Because I have to help him or her fight her demons. And that's exactly what your partner wants, because that's how they take control of you.
But let me come back to this though, because we were talking about healthy relationships. I love what you said, because for me, when I hear that, it is at the core of why we victim blame. There's kind of a general acceptance that we, and the data shows 8 out of 10 domestic violence victims are women. So I'm just going with the majority here. But the general consensus is that we as women should be the one to ensure that our partner is content. You don't fuel the fire if they're having a bad day already.
So that's a gender norm that needs to change, right? That's one of some of the wrong cultural dynamics that we have inherited that we need to revisit. Right. Because it actually is a grooming technique. It's something that is used for coercion and control, and you see that in all abusive relationships. So we need to definitely change that, and this is part of what we do with young women in our programs that we do in school, in our Rise Girls programs. We talk about dating violence and helping young women to understand the characteristics of healthy relationships, so that they can see where the wrong patterns that have been held up before them in their homes or in their communities need to be revisited, and they can start questioning some of this. The hope is that when they start having relationships, they will have a different mindset and be more willing to see those red flags earlier so that they can make decisions for their own safety. There's the burden that society places on women to accept violence as a part of their responsibility to fix men is something that we need to break from, because it has created a lot of issues of gender-based violence and women not coming to speak out until they are severely harmed, until their life is in danger. That's when they are seeking help. Whereas we need them to seek help much earlier in the relationship. It's actually more helpful if they see those red flags earlier and begin to address it. One, they can get out. And two, if the partner is willing to seek help and they are confronted earlier, there's much more success of rehabilitation. Yeah. So it's very important that we start to speak about that we need to help women and men to see the red flags, to see where they are contributing to those wrong dynamics because of things that they may have grown up and seen, and be willing to do the work on their part to fix their own issues, because nobody else is responsible to fix your issues. You have to take ownership of your own baggage and your own junk and garbage and take it out yourself. So we need to ensure that we are giving people the right tools for them to recognize that it's not your partner's responsibility to fix your trauma. It is your responsibility to seek healing. And even if you're experiencing trauma, it is not okay for you to use that to manipulate and control your partner. They have the right to live in freedom and to be free from fear.
And I wanted to ask on that note, from both you and Dr. Martinez, because you said just now that a lot of the times people only seek help or intervention at the point where their lives are actually in danger. And I wanted to ask, just based on your experience, if that is the case, and when you do speak to victims of abuse, if they describe, what it is that took them to the point, or do they describe their history? Is it often the case that they have been in these, relationships for a long time, and if over time you found any features of these relationships sort of change or anything? Perhaps with changing times over time, if anything has changed in these patterns.
Well, I'd say from a mental health perspective, it is true. I have to agree with Ms. Shah. They usually tend to complain about the relationship when they feel threatened, when there has been a very intense episode, probably in front of family members or friends. Maybe the children have seen them near death or badly beaten, and that's when they want to seek help. And there's a lot of contributing factors to that. One, after every abusive incident, there's usually a honeymoon period where there's a seemingly sincere apology and a promise to change. And you, being in a relationship, have hopes for your relationship, and you want to believe that it's going to change, so you stay. More than that, when you are in a relationship, you tend to attribute some of the abuse to your characteristics or something that you may have said, or the way you said it, something you do, something you don't do. So you want to take a bit of responsibility for the abusive relationship. Yeah. Thirdly, even when people seek medical attention for abuse injuries, it's not taken seriously. I've heard some of the doctors at the ER tell abuse patients that, well, you know what, we'll curl up in a bed together and then in a be nobody business. So they don't seek to write out the medical legal form. The police is not informed, and they go back to life. And I think that's a gateway that should be open to anybody suffering any form of abuse. When you go to the emergency room, I think the doctor should at least ask, what is the situation? Yeah. Are you safe in that situation? I don't care who perpetrated it, who started the argument. You're the person who's hurt. You're the person in front of me. I have to find the resources to be able to help you so that I see you back into this emergency room, or I don't find you in the morgue.
Can I ask a question? Let me take it from a different point of view. I think sometimes the frustration that we hear, and really it is a practice that has to be changed, where medical personnel, police personnel are dismissive of domestic violence incidents. But let's separate the situation here. If I'm an outsider looking in and seeing someone potentially threatening their life by being in an abusive relationship, they're being hurt, harmed, and the next step can be death. And from my point of view, it looks like they're choosing to re-enter that war zone. It can feel frustrating. Can you help us understand why that happens? Why do people go back? Why do people take back their statements? What's happening there that we on the outside may not understand?
So there's a lot of issues, but the first one I want to say is the issue of trauma bonds. And I will probably ask Dr. Martinez to speak a little bit more about that. But when you are in a relationship, and as Dr. Martinez was saying, that you invest in that relationship with the hope that it's going to succeed. Like nobody enters into a romantic relationship and think, well, 3 weeks from now, he's going to hit me and we're going to break up. Like that's not the hope that you have. You are expecting that this is going to go well and that you're going to be happy and you're going to contribute to each other, raise a family, whatever the dream is that you have. You have a dream for that relationship. So you're invested in its success. So you begin to feel that these little things that happen are just obstacles that you have to fight through on the road to success. And then when the incident happens and then you have the honeymoon period and the person is apologetic, then you think this is the real person. Like this is the person that I really love and the person that I really want. I have to fight to keep this person. I have to fight to stay in this relationship so this person can come forward. Not realizing that that's not the real person. That's the imposter. The real person is the one that has low impulse control, the one that is being disrespectful. And that's the person that you're actually going to end up with if this person doesn't take their own actions to address their own issues. So when you start to accept that and you want to stay in the relationship, you become dependent on this person. And you may become dependent financially, you may become dependent emotionally, you may become dependent even with your social standing. Your reputation become tied to this relationship and to this person. So then the decision, when you realize that this is probably not going to change or it's not going to work out the way that you are thinking, the decision to leave becomes very difficult because now you have to think about how you will address those issues. Like you may have fear that this person may have the power to come after you to harm you. Once you leave the relationship, the situation becomes even more complicated if you have children. And then we have women where, as Dr. Martinez has said, who feel that the situation of abuse was caused by their action, that they were somehow to blame. They may have been told as children that the woman should just be quiet and not speak up, and maybe she spoke up and said something, and now she feels, well, it's her fault. So she needs to fix it. So she needs to stay in and be more quiet and not say anything. So this is where the trauma bonds develop, because you develop this unhealthy attachment to this person that you feel that your survival is dependent on this person's actions and that you need to comply and appease this person so that you can survive or so that you can get what you think that you need to get from this person, from this relationship. It's very difficult psychologically to walk away from that. You actually need counseling help to break that bond. You are not going to be able to do that on your own. It's not something that intelligence or money or time will break. You need counseling help. Just like if somebody chop you with a machete, you can't stitch that up while you're bleeding on your own. You have to go to a doctor and somebody with the expertise has to put in the proper stitch and give you the proper treatment. This, when trauma bonds develop, you need counseling help to be able to break that.
And we haven't even talked about the element of shame that comes with it.
Yes.
And I was, when you think of making a report, it's publicly saying, and we get very tied to relationships. So even if it's not abuse, if it's a failed relationship, failed marriage, failed situationship, I don't know, you kind of mask the shame of it and what it takes to be able to report it. That's a lot.
Yes.
Anel, you want to talk about that a bit, how that is like one extra layer that victims are dealing with?
Right. So I think I think I mentioned earlier when you're in that relationship, initially you feel like you have to be the strong one to keep it together for your partner who seems to be falling apart at any crisis. So one of it is the way you perceive yourself in the relationship. You can't be strong and battered at the same time. You know, that's how most women look at it. And people within, women or men within that relationship on the victim side do not want to seem weak or defenseless. Me admitting that my partner.
For some reason, we lost audio there. I don't know if you press mute.
All right.
Yeah.
I apologize. If I have been in this relationship to this point that it has escalated to when I look for help, because usually it has gone beyond the raising at a voice or just yelling, you know. So I have stayed in there up to this point. I have lost so many friends and family member and my support system up to this point. So for me to go back to them and admit that I was wrong initially about this person, that I was wrong about my relationship, there's a level of fear in that, or shame in having to admit that all along I was giving a vote of confidence to my man or my partner. And now I have to come back and tell you guys, well, you know what? I was wrong and I'm sorry. And a lot of times, and I've heard this so many times, I went to my mom and my mom said, well, that's the life. You don't know to the house.
Yes,
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, if you could shed some more light, because, you know, that culturally, you know, speaking of cultural norms, that's also another aspect that, you know, which you know, I've heard stories of as well, you know, where they'll seek support and people will, you know, I tell them to go back to the relationship, you know, in terms like, you know, you've just described.
Right, that's your choice.
That's the
Just
number
not
one
aggravate her,
barrier.
right?
Right.
Yes, that's the number one barrier to women getting out. Usually when they work up the courage to speak to somebody, the first person that they speak to actually determines whether they will go back to the relationship or seek help.
Right.
If that first person is not supportive, and usually it's a family member, or if that first person expresses any kind of doubt as to whether the violence occurred, or that person shifts any blame to the victim or defends the perpetrator, that victim will take a much longer time to speak out again and will actually subdue their personality and sink further under the control of the perpetrator. And the perpetrator will have a stronger bond over that person because of that, because somebody with authority in their life reinforces the wrong actions of the perpetrator. So as family members and as a community, we need to be supportive. We must always be supportive of women or men who speak out that they are victims of violence. Our first response must be a defense response, that we say to them, I am here for you. I will help you with whatever you need. I will listen to you if you just need to cry. If you don't want to talk to anybody else right now, if you're not ready to seek help, I'm still going to be here for you. That is the response that we need to give them so that they can develop the courage to confront the trauma bonds that they will need to break in order to get out of this relationship. If that first response is not supportive, it's going to take a much more violent incident for them to feel that their life is in danger, for them to then seek help.
You have to validate any concerns or complaints that anybody gives you and it's related to violence. It has to be validated. Don't dismiss it.
And one other thing which we haven't really discussed as well in terms of what feeding into the fear of leaving the relationships is that quite often, you know, these persons, particularly women, of course, will feel that if they do leave, their life will still be in danger. And we've seen cases, you know, unfortunate cases over the few years where we've seen that happen, that somebody's finally left their partner and that person has gone after them, attacked them, or even killed them.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I think it's safe to say that over 75% of domestic violence murders happened after the victims have left the abusers.
Yes.
And it's incredibly dangerous to think that you could just walk away from your abuser and there will be no repercussions. That's the point where they have nothing left to lose.
They're the most desperate. And this again is why families must support victims. You cannot expect that somebody who is in trauma, somebody who is in violence is going to be able to save themselves and just get out. That is not possible. It's not feasible. We need to give support so that they know that they are not alone, so that they know that there are people that will help them. We have so many cases. One of the things that we do when the counselors do with the person that comes in with domestic violence, they do the risk assessment to help them to identify what kind of danger they may expect or what they need to plan for in terms of the other person's actions. And then they do the safety planning to talk about how do you get out. And in some cases, they may have to say to them, you can't get out right now. We have to put some things in place first before we can advise you when it's the right time for you to leave. So all of those things have to be considered, especially where you have children. So it's important for them to seek help from family, and then for family to refer them to the experts, the counselors, the psychiatrists, the organizations like CDF, YES, BFLA, the doctor, the police, so that they can get the expert help that they need to put those tools in place. We should never just tell them, well, okay, just get up and left the man. The man wicked and him punch you, they'll come for you tomorrow and you'll leave. Unless you're going with a machete and some police, don't do that, right? Because that person is going to be desperate and it's likely to be violent then, and violence may follow the person afterwards. So you need to ensure that there's a proper plan in place that will look at the risks that they need to prepare for and plan for. And every domestic violence relationship when you leave will have risks that you have to prepare for and plan for. And then you need to put the things in place, so putting aside money. You may need to get a protection order. You need to have family members that are going to be on standby. You may need to change phone numbers. Some cases, we have had to have women change their jobs, change where they live. All of these things are things that you need to plan for. They are not things that you can do overnight. But you have to have a plan for an emergency so that after you seek help, because once you start talking to somebody, your behavior changes. So the person in the relationship with you is the abuser start to see that something is about to happen. So there's an alert that happens in their mind.
And
so
you're going to take away that one thing they want the most, the control.
Right. Yes, so they start to get a little bit. So you have to have this emergency plan. So talk to somebody and get the help.
We can go on and on about this issue. I think there's a lot more to unpack about how we can help to educate ourselves and really change the situation. But let me just close with this one. If you're raising a little girl or a little boy right now, what can you do different to change or to impact how they're raised to have a different outcome, that they don't end up being an abuser or a victim?
I think having clear conversations with children about right and wrong and leading by example. You do not tolerate patterns of behavior that you don't want your children to learn, because that's where it's learned. And so you want to emulate good moral standing, how to treat people, how to be empathic, how to be caring for someone, how to make someone feel safe within the realm of a family, because those are the same types of behaviors or attachments that they will learn from home and take into any future relationship that they may have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Diana, for you, what do we as a society? What's your hope as a society that we
wake up, that we wake up and stop projecting our own trauma to victims? Because a lot of the reason why we blame victims is because we haven't dealt with the wrong issues in our own relationships and we are projecting. So we need to deal with our own stuff, and so that we realize that it is not okay for people to be treated this way, and that we don't blame victims and shift our feelings of anger towards our own selves to them, and that we become more supportive. We recognize that we need to provide the help that they need, because people that need help just need help. That's it. And then also to add to what Dr. Martinez was saying, that when as parents, we need to be real with our children about the things that we have experienced. Don't cover up the domestic violence that you endured in your younger years. Explain that to your child, what you went through, how you overcome that, or you went through that, because it will help them to see that when they experience something, they should speak out. We need to really empower people to speak out against violence and not to cover it up. There's no shame in seeking help. There's no shame in saying that somebody hurt you. That's not your fault. That's the other person's problem. So you should not cover it up. You should speak out against it.
And, on that note, just very quickly before we close, perhaps we could just mention just a few resources or tips, just, whether it's, should you make, what's available for victims of abuse, whether it's to seek the services of an attorney, make a police report, seek counseling. Just in a nutshell, can you talk about what some resources are available?
I think I'll leave that for Ms. Diana.
Yes.
All right. So all of that, yes, you have the police, every district in the country has a DVU unit, the police department, that is as somebody that's there to take a police report. If they don't want to take the report, contact the women's department attached to the Department of Human Services in your area, or contact an NGO. You have the Child Development Foundation, CDF, that's us. We are in Belmopan and 13 Garbutt Creek Street. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us, Google CDF. It will tell you where we are on webs. We have resources on our website, cdfbelize.org, or find a counselor that's attached. You have professional counselors like Dr. Martinez. You have counselors attached to the Department of Human Services, or a pastor from a church that you trust. But make sure that it is somebody that is willing to listen to your side of the story. If you're talking to somebody and they are defending the abuser or talking over you, well, you need to just shut down that and say, thank you for your time, and move on to the next person. That's not the person to help you. So make sure it's somebody that's willing to listen to you and that's willing to be supportive and to give you the tools that you need.
That's right. There's a hotline too, isn't there?
I guess I can add to that.
Yeah.
Because there is also the National Women Commission that have
Yes.
a hotline that you can use, and it's a 0800 a way out. That you can call. There are also, I think, 2 active shelters for women and children right now. And one of them is Haven House Shelter and Mary Open Doors Shelter. So in your area, if you contact the Women Department, you can also get directions and contact information for these places.
Yes.
But definitely Women Department is one. Police department could be helpful because there should be a domestic violence protocol in every police department or station countrywide. Getting legal aid.
Yes.
And if you don't get through at the police department, you can also use the resource of the Ombudsman office. So that if anybody has caused you any additional violation in your experience, that's a place where you can also get help. Okay. Legal aid counseling. There's also programs where they have educational training or training for any trade, so that we can give these women some level of independence as they move forward with their new lives. Because we have to give them the structure of something new that they can walk into. If there is nothing and you're leaving everything behind, it's going to be even harder for you to walk away from it. So that's what we have to offer them.
All right. Well, we appreciate the conversation this morning. And just to close off, that hotline, once again, is 0800 a way out. We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we will be talking about the latest in the sugar industry. Stay tuned.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky, and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this smart and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, please. Vaccination saves lives.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
It is what I need to take me where I want to go.
To learn more about our various programs, visit our website at www.galen.edu.bz or email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz.
And come soar with the Galen Eagles. If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money.
Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we're back, and if you're joining us right now, we're getting our second segment for this morning started, and we are shifting gears, and we are getting an update from ASR BSI in relation to all that is going on with them in the sugar industry. And joining us via Zoom is Mac McLaughlin, who is the Vice President of International Affairs for ASR BSI, as well as Sean Chavaria, who is the Director of Finance. Good morning.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Gavin, and to the viewers.
Yep, and thank you for joining us. We know that a lot has been going on, and certainly we've been reporting about it, of the developments in the sugar industry recently. One, and of course, one of the big issues which people have been talking about is the tensions that were ongoing between the cane farmers associations and BSI in relation to the signing of the agreement. So perhaps, for the benefit of our viewers, maybe Mac, you can describe in a nutshell what exactly was going on and where we are right now.
Sure, thanks, Gavin. Yeah, I mean, we're in the process now of meeting with one of the farmer associations. You're aware there are 4 farmer associations, and we have long-term cane purchase agreements with 3, and we're meeting with the 4th one. At the moment, we've started that process of meetings to discuss a way forward for both the mill and BSCFA when it comes to how we calculate the value for cane. I mean, it's difficult because a false narrative has kind of become accepted wisdom in Belize that farmers get a raw deal from BSI, whereas in fact this isn't the case. I mean, the cane value sharing agreement that we have here is one of the most generous in the region. And really the root cause for a lot of the difficulties are that the low productivity of cane and the very high costs of harvesting and delivering it. And, it's impossible really for the cane farm to be viable without action to address those real items, because no mill could really compensate for those inefficiencies. So, and the other issue that's not well understood, I think, is that that the sugarcane price is directly related to the global price of sugar. It's not something that BSI makes up. Belize is 80% exposed to the global market. And we don't set the price. So it's not really a question of somebody needs X or Y. It's really that the cane price is a reflection of the market minus the costs to export that product, plus whatever added value we can achieve from investments, etc. So, but we have had a meeting, and I'll let Sean just say a little bit about where we are with that.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Morning again, Marlene and Gavin. As Mark said, we've resumed discussions with the BSAFA on signing a new long-term agreement. The meeting, was cordial, and we've exchanged information since that time. BSAFA is currently reviewing some information that we've provided. We're working on providing some additional information as well, particularly that related to the power plant and its business, to try to, wrap up some discussions there. So really the next step would be for us to receive feedback from the BSCFA on those discussions. It is our objective to try to get an agreement signed before the end of the crop. There's certainly from our end the good faith and willingness to get this done. We need to get it done. And so we'll be doing our level best to, try to ensure that the parties meet regularly, make progress, so that we can hopefully sign an agreement before the end of the crop.
Now, the impasse that we faced earlier this year was a result of already realizing that you had very different versions of what you wanted in the agreement. Now you have a longer deadline to get to a compromise. Are you finding that there is room for a compromise from both you, ASR BSI, and the farmers?
Yeah, I mean, Marlene, we have come a long way down the track of really accepting the principle behind what BSCFA was suggesting, which is that we move away from what we would call an ex-mill or a net strip value formula, i.e. that's where, you take the value of sugar and you share that value at the point where it's produced at the mill, and then you deduct various charges for the export of that sugar, for producing added value sugars, that type of thing. And we've already gone back to the BSCFA saying, look, if they want that type of agreement, then we're very, very happy to discuss it with them. And we've put out a proposal to them on that basis, which would basically pay them on the basis of raw sugar, which is a known price. There's no conjecture. There's no questions. I think we're a bit fed up with people sort of telling us all the time that we're ripping people off and doing this and that. We'd rather move away from that, frankly. And that this kind of agreement would do that. It would be very clear how much gets paid for sugarcane, and we would handle all the rest of it, which is the exporting of it and everything else. So, really what we need to see is what. Is what BSCFA really want. I mean, that's kind of where we need to be, because evidently in that structure we wouldn't be sharing the kind of value that we can at the moment, because there's a very different type of commercial agreement. So, our point of view on this in general is, look, we're happy to come to a reasonable conclusion on this thing that doesn't disadvantage either side. And we're, in good faith, very much prepared to do that. And that just depends on the expectations, I think, of the other side in the end. Because if we both come to the table with that frame of mind, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so I know what they were proposing. I think it was 60-40 on raw sugar.
Correct. So that's what we've discussed. That's what we presented actually from December, and then finally had a meeting to discuss it in further detail. So it's their concept of the 60-40 gross value, removing a majority of the costs, particularly those related to shipping, logistics, manufacturing, value-added sugars. We will continue to share molasses, so that continues to apply. We'll also share benefits of domestic market and USTRQ. So really, there's only one aspect which is related to DC sugars that we wouldn't share. That would be treated as raw sugar. And again, it's because of the principle that they're, they want to move away from net trip value and this concept of sharing of costs. And this is a way of simplifying the cane payment structure. As Mark said, the prices will be known every day. The association will be able to go into a website, check the daily price, do an average to determine what is the price for the respective year. So it will be very transparent, very easy to understand and explain, and remove a lot of the negative conjecture that surrounded the NSV, which really shouldn't be the case because we provide farmers with all the documentation, audited statements of net trip value, right? So there shouldn't be that, but we've come to the conclusion that really it's best for the industry for us to move away from that and try to simplify the cane payment structure.
Yeah.
And the other very important thing I just add to that is, look, this is all about investment in the end. We've invested heavily in Belize, and we've done so on the basis of good faith that we, want to be there as a good partner in Belize with the farmers and for the benefit of the whole country. But we need to have long-term certainty and security of cane supply in order for us to be able to move ahead and invest more. And right now we don't have that. So we're talking about long-term agreement that won't reopen everything 10 minutes later, and that puts us in a better position. Any sugar industry, modern sugar industry that's not investing is going backwards, and we can't afford to do that in Belize.
Let me just challenge you on that one there, because I do think what you talk about is an important point. As an investor, very often the public perception is that if you are the investor, then there are no real altruistic values in what you're trying to accomplish. It's about profit. And when you have a partner, like the farmers, that must mean that you want the bigger profit than what you're willing to share with them. How do you respond to that?
I would say, Marlene, if it's about profit, I'm not quite sure what we're doing in Belize. But the truth of the matter is, of course, that's a commercial concept. And basically, you invest so that you can have the opportunity, at least, of a return on the investment. But at the same time, we recognise that we're in a important and somewhat unique position in Belize, because a lot of people are depending on the mill. And what we've always tried to do, and we've done in good faith, is with all of our investments, they bring added value to the mill, to the sugar value, is to share that with farmers. And that's why, the previous agreement that we had, I thought was a very good agreement. It shared that value with farmers, and it did so on the basis of this net strip value basis, which is what most industries operate on. And it made sense. But, as we've said, it's become evident the SCFA don't want that approach. So we're very happy to look at a different approach. But to your point, you see that sometimes the commercial concepts get a bit mixed up. This is a private sector industry. Everybody is a member of the private sector within it, including the cane farmers. Now, for example, if a cane farmer improves the productivity on their land, and if they improve the quality of the cane and they reduce the cost of harvesting and delivering that cane, that's good for them. That's the profit that comes to them, and that's where the ministry and others should be striving to help them achieve that, because that, after all, is at the end of the day what's going to make them profitable and viable. Similarly, for the mill, if we're going to make investments in added value sugars, we want to earn the benefits of those investments. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any secret or mystery here at all. It's we all understand where we are. We've been negotiating. BSI has been negotiating agreements with the BSCFA since the 1960s. Yep. So this isn't anything new to us.
All right, but I want to, because there's still time to be able to discuss that, as I know you have a few more months to be able to work out the agreement. But can we talk a bit about the update to the Sugar Act? We were joined by Minister Mai last week, who was talking about the work that has been going in updating the act itself, also the possibility of doing an analysis of the sugar industry itself in the country. What's BSI's take on this?
No idea, Marlene, because we've not been consulted in any way about this as the mill and the main investor in this business. We honestly don't know, because there have been no meetings with us. I believe there have been meetings with other stakeholders. So really, I can't really comment much on that. I mean, we and other agro producers in Belize firmly believe that what government should be doing is looking to deregulate some of this very old unconstitutional legislation that exists at the moment to allow private sector to get on and do what it does. That's going to be the biggest benefit for Belize and Belizean citizens in the end. And we believe that's the direction of travel. Now, we've been assured by the Prime Minister that there will be full consultation on this process. So we're very much looking forward to that. But as of now, there's been no consultation.
I think some of the work started before the change of administration. I might be wrong. So there's not been any consultation, past administration or current, in the update of the Sugar Act.
No, what was circulated was a 10-year-old report from a consultant, which basically was, in my opinion, was layering on a number of elements or potential elements for reform that would actually compound the fact that the current legislation is out of whack with the Constitution, and therefore I don't think would be a very helpful starting point. So I don't know if that's where we're coming from or whatever, but I think clearly in a situation like this where there are key component parts, including the mill, there needs to be an open discussion, conversation that leads to the best possible outcome. I mean, that's just common sense. And so we're very much looking forward to having that opportunity and taking part in it, because after all, that's the thing that's going to guide investment for this industry in the end.
And what are some of the things that you would like to see change in terms of the regulations, the existing regulations?
Well, look, when I looked back on the Sugar Act and I looked at some old documents that we had, I saw many of the elements of that were kind of cut and pasted from the 1960s, and the industry institutions that sort of control a private sector business and how they're funded, and there's all kinds of different issues which I think should be considered and thought about. What we want is a modern. Many other industries have been through this kind of change. We've seen it in Australia, we've seen it elsewhere, where the industry itself has been able to look at what it needs effectively to manage situations. In Belize, there'll always be a need for an element of balance. That's evident, but I think at the end of the day, the more business decisions that can be taken between, in this case, the farmers and the miller, the better. For example, harvesting and delivering systems. At the moment, farmers are paying, a lot of money to harvest and deliver their cane, which if we had a more efficient system and a more science-based system for doing that wouldn't be necessary. So that there are a number of different things that I think could be looked at in the sense of sensible reform to the current situation. But obviously we haven't, we've submitted some thoughts on that, but we haven't had a chance to discuss them.
We seem to be losing audio a bit there, Mac.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just said that we'd like the opportunity to have a proper conversation with other stakeholders about these things.
Now, it's the sound of the statements coming out at this time is that there is a need. I hear the same from the farmers, from the minister, and even from BSI, from you guys and your representatives, is that there is a need for a rethink. The changes in regulations is one option, and also there are new stakeholders in the industry as well. Perhaps it's time for a sit-down, a collaboration of sorts to decide the way forward for the industry. In other words, or infighting takes away from the focus of being able to be more competitive in the global market. That's where our fight is, being able to have a better presence and get a better price.
Yeah, well, I think we're doing what we can in that regard with the investments we're making in the mill. But I agree. I mean, that's what consultation's all about. It's about examining what's going to lead to a path to a better future for everyone, and that's important. I don't know, Sean, what's your view?
No, and that was our initial feedback when they circulated this old draft document. That it was written in a different time and a different era. So much has changed since that document that draft document was prepared. We now have 2 mills in Belize, 4 cane farmer associations. You have deregulation of the sugar market in the EU, which is significantly impacted the sugar industry here in Belize. And so we need to change. And what has really kept this industry going is the private sector investment that has taken place, both from the mill and farmers, right? Because farmers sensed the positivity when ASR came in. It sort of rejuvenated the industry. So a lot of people, planted new cane, got in new land. And so they have also played their part in trying to keep this industry going, right? And so the laws, the Sugar Act should reflect and be more of an approach to drive investment, to encourage investment, to see how we could reduce costs in the industry, improve productivity, right? So that we're more competitive in the global market, because we're 80% dependent on what happens on the global market, the commodity price for sugar, right? So profits are not guaranteed here in this business, right? We have to earn every penny and every dollar, and that's why the investments are so important, right? Because those are really what create the opportunity to make that dollar.
And what does that sort of investment look like from ASR and BSI? Perhaps people might understand better, if they knew exactly, how you guys were investing to improve the industry long term.
Well, I mean, sorry, Sean, carry on.
Yeah, no, two of the more recent and very critical investments that we've made, one is to expand production of value-added sugar so that we're not wholly dependent on just the commodity price for raw sugar. We're seeking to enhance the value of that. And as we've explained before, that is shared with the farmers, right, through the existing agreement of net truth value. And that really was in that direct response to the deregulation that took place in Europe in 2017, where overnight preferential prices that Belize used to receive just evaporated. So that's been one major area of focus. We wrapped up that investment, which was around 64 million. And then over the past year, to address the matter of logistics costs, we've been investing 30 million to move operations for raw sugar, logistics, and molasses as well to the port of Big Creek. And again, that will enhance the value that we receive for the sugar, reduce our logistics costs, which again helps both sides in terms of getting a better price for sugar, right? So those are two key components. We've also been working with customers such as Hershey to bring in grant funding to see how we can improve field productivity, lower costs. We've also worked with the IDB in terms of addressing certain field productivity issues and trying to see how we could help farmers. So there's a lot that's been done, but those are some of the more recent ones that we've been doing to try to improve the competitiveness.
But I would say at the moment, the issue with the uncertainty that's prevailing right now, the future investment projects are in the deep freeze, because we need that level of certainty to enable us to continue to move forward. The illegal acts we saw at the beginning of this crop crossed a line, and
what is certainty in your mind, Mac? Is it another 7-year agreement with the farmers? What's certainty?
Well, I mean, it's that we have the opportunity for those investments to work, and that means a range of things. Yes, it means security of cane supply in a reasonable agreement. Nobody's saying anything about being unreasonable. And it means that the industry is allowed to develop in the way that the industry can to improve its competitiveness, make itself more profitable for everyone to share from, and that again needs to look at regulatory reform and how that can encourage those things to happen. I mean, it's really just about ensuring that the environment is right to make the case for that investment. That's as simple as that, really. If you're wondering what's going to happen next year or the year after, and concerned about various different issues across the board, then it's very hard to make that case.
Yeah. So would you say that this is a critical year in terms of looking at the future planning for the company?
Yes, I would say that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else you'd like to share with us this morning? We know the crop season is ongoing. You had some challenges with metals being found in the cane supply.
Yeah, we've we have had quite a lot of what we call extraneous material coming in, and these things, bits of axles and various other bits of metal that come in with canes sometimes can cause catastrophic damage to mill equipment. So we are reaching out to associations and the institutions and asking for everyone to really be diligent about what's in the back of cane trucks when things come in. There's been a lot of instances of that, sometimes with large rocks and things as well. So, it's important for everyone. Obviously, the mill, the mill is the binding force between everybody. I mean, that's the thing that we need to be operating. But I would say it's a very good start to the crop. All things considered, the cane quality's been very good this year so far. So we're grateful to the farmers for that. And I think, as the benefits of our investments, particularly in the energy side of things, should show greater consistency. And we're looking forward to a good crop, despite all the challenges that we have. I think, that's an important thing not to overlook.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update this morning. Of course, we know this is an ongoing process, and we will be hearing more from you and from the farmers and from government representatives as well as you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Gavin.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break.
Yep. And when we get back, we're going to be learning all about the raffle of the pickup truck from the Rotary Club of Belize. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Digi, the premier name in voice and data, is also the country's leading provider of innovative services and solutions for small business and enterprise. At Digi Business, we offer solutions, tools, and applications to support your business needs. Reduce costs, improve efficiency, and excel in a changing world where no idea is too big and no task is too small. From technology advising to design implementation and management, our team of qualified solution sales and specialists can develop a reliable and robust infrastructure, allowing you to spend more time on what matters most, your business. Visit us online to explore how DigiBusiness innovative products and solutions can help your business reduce costs and improve efficiency.
Why should you wear your mask? To protect myself. My friends. My family and others. I wear my mask because I love my grandparents. With so many reasons to wear a mask, we continue to advise persons to wear a face mask properly, covering both nose and mouth. Together, we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
back, and we're moving into our final conversation for today. We're just in case, if you haven't gotten your raffle ticket yet, we're going to encourage you to do so today. We're joined by representatives of the Rotary Club of Belize. We have with us the chair, Ariel Mitchell, and we're also joined by the past president, Mala Vasquez. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's lovely to have you here this morning. Of course, a lot of people know the work that the Rotary Club does. But just as a recap, let's just do a dive into the history and the contributions that you've made.
Okay, well, our main project is the Gift of Life project. That's a flagship for Rotary Club of Belize. It's been going on for at least about 25 years.
1977.
Exact, to be exact, right?
Right.
Yeah, now we had a recent clinic just about a week ago where we saw close to 100 children throughout the country. We have these visiting teams of pediatric surgeons who come down, and they check the children who have congenital heart disease, and they review them and they analyze them and schedule them if they need to go away for treatment. In Belize City, we saw close to 70 children over 3 days, and in Dangriga, which covers the south, Stan Creek and Toledo, we saw close to 25 children.
Yeah.
So now we are waiting for the report to come back to see which children will be scheduled to go on.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, the Gift of Life program, I think people, it's been happening for how many years now?
Well, from 1977, you know, we used to have just maybe 2 or 3 children who would show up and the doctors would come. But it got kind of bigger and there was need there because remember, I think people need to also be reminded that your heart conditions are more prevalent than cancer. And they are undetected. So, you know, it's appropriately Gift of Life.
Yeah.
But besides Gift of Life, we do a lot of things. Rotary Club has been here for the past 60 years or plus, and we started with Stella Morris.
Yeah.
People forget that history. They also helped with the foundation of BERT, the ambulance, and the emergency response team.
Yeah.
And then we also did other things like
Crime
Stoppers was also one of the flagships of Rotary. Then it became too big. That was handed over. And then we helped with Colby. In fact, our Rotarians sit
on the board.
And then we have the playground projects. We have the scholarship fund. We have the feeding programs. And we also have the educational program that we work along with the Canadian Rotary Club. We build homes. In fact, 2 homes were dedicated last week. And this is along with the Woodland Houston Rotary Club and also with the Methodist Church group. So a lot of things. I mean, you can see where your raffle funds are going to go.
And you usually have the opportunity for more fundraisers than your raffle. How have you been able to keep things going since 2020?
COVID has really made us think out of the box kind of thing. The truck raffle is there. Nobody has to touch anything. So it's like
that one could continue.
We also, it's easier now because of technology. So we have a WhatsApp number. You can actually pay for your tickets online. We can take a picture of your tickets. It's there. So it's made it possible. And even during the times of COVID, Rotary didn't stop working. Rotary helped the Ministry of Health with their Mask Up campaign, with vaccination,
basins.
With test kits, and also help the police. So a lot of things. And along with that came our partners, which was Social Security Board. They have been helping the Rotary Club of Belize through their Gift of Life project. So, you know, we have partners. We also have individuals that will come in and help, Rotarians that will come in and help, businesses who will come in to help. So, you know, you can see what you're doing. So we're happy that with the help of the general public, we are able to do what we are what we are doing right now.
By buying tickets, you're supporting our efforts, our programs.
Yeah.
You know,
And over the years, we have covered, especially with the Gift of Life, some of the children who've benefited
yes.
from the care. I don't know how much people know the treatment of congenital heart disease, especially in little ones. It's such a complex surgery.
It is.
And very expensive. But through the partnership that you have, the children are able to travel, get the treatment they need, and return to the country and continue with life.
and what we should stress is that a lot of these programs are follow-up.
Yeah.
For example, we've been seeing kids from they were
Babies, months
to
old.
adults, you know, as a follow-up. As a matter of fact, we have a young lady who just got surgery yesterday in the U.S. for a problem that they discovered when she was a child.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Well, and then you have also the ones that we've been seeing from when they were days old that have turned 18. In fact, we had a young man who came in from when he was diagnosed as a kid. He's 22, 23, and he has a family.
Well, I was going to say,
So it's
the
like,
gift of life
wow.
grandbabies are probably being born around now.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So lots of stuff going on. And also, we want to kind of also have people support us with a Wear Red Day.
Okay.
It's going to be the 4th of February, and this is to bring awareness of children and adults and everybody else. Look, we're jumping on the wagon with the North American Day of Wear Red. February is Heart Month. Besides being Valentine, so we want
Still closely tied to
everybody
hearts,
to wear
yeah.
red.
Yeah.
It's going to be the 4th of February, which is on a Friday. We don't want to compete with Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be the 4th. And basically, it's to create an awareness, you know, to promote the awareness. Take your pictures and send the pictures to our website, you know, and you can do hashtags Gift of Life, hashtag Rotary Club, hashtag Wear Red Day, and hashtag Heart Month. So you can do all of that.
Yeah.
Promote the awareness. It's not a fundraiser, this. It's just
To
to
show
promote
support.
Red Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this Friday, you already know what outfit you're wearing, right, Gabby?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Take out your jacket.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, and the other part that does have to do with the fundraising is the truck raffle.
yes.
And what's the support been like so far?
excellent.
Yeah.
We are
yeah.
practically sold out already.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those raffles where there actually is a cap,
Yes.
which helps your chances.
1,000 tickets printed.
We are not changing our date. We had to delay the date. We usually draw it December 31st,
Yeah.
but we couldn't this time because the tickets didn't get printed in time. COVID does a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, February 14th,
To
we'll do
coincide
it the
with
Heart Month to
Valentine's Day.
also coincide with Heart Month. So it's going to be the 14th. We have tickets that are sold by your Rotarians, available in every district, every method of payment possible, through the bank, online, through your Rotary, your favorite Rotarian. So all of that is possible. We have a couple of tickets left.
If they're interested, let them move now because they're going really fast.
Okay, so the big deal with this raffle is that there's only 1,000 tickets that are printed, which means your odds with just one ticket, it's
Extremely
better
good.
off.
Extremely
Yeah.
good.
So the proceeds, everybody says, oh, it's 100,000. I'm getting 100,000. Yeah, but Rotary does not get that 100,000. It's always the net of the proceeds will go to Gift of Life. It will go to the scholarship fund. It will go to the house building project.
All of our projects.
It will go to the playground project. And school's going to come on. We're going to have that feeding program. We do 3 elementary schools. So all of that. The good thing about it is you're seeing where your money is going.
That's right. And every cent you give to Rotary goes to the cause. There's no management fees, there's no administration fees. Everything goes to whatever project you want.
And I mean, we're totally neglecting to talk about the prize. It's not just a truck raffle, it's a brand new 2022
Yep.
Tell me all the specs, Miss Marla.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Tell me the big deal about it.
Oh my God. For me, look, it's a great truck. It's a 2022.
It's a Ford Ranger.
Right.
2022 4-wheel drive, automatic, fully loaded. You can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
It's on the screen, guys. And I will add a bottle of wine.
All right. There has to be champagne to
Of
celebrate.
course, we'll
There
do
you go.
sparkling wine.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
So
the
there
winner
you-
gets that too.
All right. So where do people get tickets?
So tickets are available on your WhatsApp. There's a WhatsApp number there. You can call us. It's at Madisco, Habet and Habet. You have
If you know,
in Belmont
if you know
Park,
any
I think
Rotarian,
you
you could
have
contact them.
Yeah.
Woodstop. You have quite a few
Places. There it is right there. We
places.
got
You
it
have
up on
that.
the screen so people know how to be able to
Right.
contact for their ticket. And Aurelia keeps saying that there are very few left.
Yes.
Very few left.
All
Very
right.
few left.
So if you want to get in on this
As a matter
raffle.
of fact, I wanted one more ticket and I had to beg for it.
Oh.
Well, what we're doing is
yeah.
all the members got their batch of tickets. So today is the day that they turn all the unsold tickets back in, and we should be I'm hoping that we have about 25 or 30 tickets left.
Okay.
And tickets, I think, are still available by the roundabout by Brody's. They have their batch.
Yeah.
So I
So you
think
just stop there and you can do
can
it.
stop
yes,
and
you
get it.
can
Okay.
stop there and do it. We have a couple. So I think from all the tickets, I probably think we have maybe 100 tickets left.
Okay.
And those won't last long.
No,
No, those last long.
they
Those
won't
last
last long. And usually what Rotarians will do, they go like, you know what, I'll take 5, I'll take 4, I'll take 3. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm buying for my kids.
Yeah.
Because I can't put it in my name. Can you imagine I win the truck?
Yes.
No, man.
No, we don't want that to happen. But I think it is an opportunity for people to be able to contribute towards the program, and at the same time, they may be lucky enough to walk away with
Right.
the brand new truck, and there are other prizes if you don't
Yeah.
get the first
Yeah.
prize, right?
And I think it also gives you a feeling of fulfillment that everybody is doing their part in making Belize a better place to live in. Because it affects everybody. If you have a happy community, you have happy people and you have a happy country.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And,
There we are.
and there are a few people, we'd like to thank.
Okay.
Of course.
First of all, we'd like to thank the Lions Club of Belize.
Yes.
They really came in big time for Belize. With COVID, we could not get the KHMH to use, and so they gave us the Lions Den to use, which has proven excellent. With the COVID, we were able to manage by
I didn't even
appointments
think
only.
of that. You're
We
right,
did-
because outpatient clinics are closed
Right.
at the
So we
moment.
did it actually by appointments. So there wasn't a crowd.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. We thought out of the box, and this is what we're going to use
Right.
now. This is the mode of operation
Yeah,
that
we want
we
to
are going
forge
to
a
use
permanent
now.
relationship
Yeah.
with Lions, that we have our clinics there. The doctors are very pleased with their location. The patients, we can control them better.
Yeah.
So it's worked out very well for us. The collaboration with social clubs like Lions is and which is a first.
I was going to say, aren't you guys competing groups?
No, we are not. We work together.
No, we call them affiliates.
I'm sorry.
No. we don't
The
com-
collaboration has proven extremely well.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, that we need to thank.
We have to thank Social Security
Social
big
Security
time.
big
They
time,
give
yeah.
us. They give us quite a bit of money every year, and of course we give them reports of how we use it.
Yeah.
Then we have Love FM, who
Love
gives
FM.
us free promos, and of course Open Your Eyes now. I mean, and of course we have Rotarians
Individual
that come
Rotarians,
in,
yeah.
Belize Signs that comes in, and all those mask up
The
banners
participants,
and billboards you see.
Nice.
I mean, it's all done because he's a Rotarian.
and his wife was
Is
past
a-
president of Lions,
Right.
I know, I am aware of that.
so it has worked well.
And of course, we also have to thank all the hospitals in the US that work along with us, all the Rotary clubs in the
airlines,
US,
Topic.
the airlines,
Everybody
and
comes
most
in.
of all, the public.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to thank everybody who buys a ticket.
This is a team from Omaha.
Yes.
The gentleman on the right hand side, he's a doctor, Dr. Delaney, and the gentleman on the left, he's a Rotarian that accompanies the team every year at their own cost.
Yeah.
You know.
From the downtown Omaha Rotary Club.
Yeah.
Right.
And the ladies, one is a nurse, and the other one is a ultrasound specialist.
Aww.
She spends all her time doing ultrasounds for the kids, so that Dr. Delaney can then interpret these and determine to what extent the severity of the condition is.
What was good, this clinic, we have 2 young Belizean doctors who returned home. So you have Dr. Sheila Koi, who is our Rotary child, and Dr. Amanda Vasquez, my niece, I have to say, and they came in and jumped in and did
to assist. Yeah.
To assist. So it also gives them kind of perspective of what they want to do going onwards. Sheila is already here working at the KHMH, and what really is striking is they want to come home. They want to come to Belize. They want to come
And then
back.
we have another clinic in August from another team out of Orlando, and they will also come in, do the same thing again, and what they do, they go back and they try to arrange treatment for selected children, expensive treatment.
Yeah.
You know,
Placement is done after the clinic.
So they come, they assess.
They assess,
and see who
and
they
then
can help.
they give us everything, and then it goes to Gift of Life.
Yeah.
And then they try to do the placements, which child will fit which facility.
Yeah.
And of course, because of COVID, we have a waiting list because we couldn't send a lot of kids. We had almost 15 kids ready to go in 2020, another 10 for 2021. So it's like now with this clinic, it will be first priority. So we have a lot of catching up to do. And we also partner with Cayman. We have a hospital we partner with in Cayman. And when the kids are not taken in the US, then we also go to Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, Cayman. Those are the people that we work with.
And the
So,
Rotary Club believes
It's a big collaboration that takes place across borders.
Absolutely.
And with an ultimate goal of just helping children access life-saving treatment.
These Belize Rotary Club assist the guardians and the babies with their visas, with their passage, with their pocket money. And then when they reach the destination, Rotarian families take them in, host them for months sometimes. You know?
All right. And you can help by buying your ticket and possibly winning a brand new truck.
Absolutely.
All right, then.
It's a win-win.
And a bottle of wine.
and a bottle of wine.
And a bottle of
If I
wine.
asked her about the specs for the wine, she'll go on and on with that one.
Yeah.
But it's a brand new 2022 Ford Ranger. But it's an opportunity to contribute towards the program. And the drawing date is February 14th. So you got to get those tickets early.
Definitely.
That's right. Yep.
Well, thank you for coming in and telling us all about it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you, Belize.
Thank you, and best of luck with all of your other future initiatives.
Thank you very much.
Have a beautiful day, and remember to wear red on the 4th of Feb.
Yep. But with that, we're going to be taking another short break. And when we come back, we're going to be having our wrap-up. And right before that, I'll be talking about what has been trending on social media. And that's going to be coming up right after the break.
So the doctor has given me 5 days off. How do I get paid from Social Security?
This is how Social Security works for sickness benefits. First, you must check that you qualify. You must be between the ages of 14 and 65. You must be employed when you got sick. You must be an insured contributor. Have made 50 paid contributions. Have made 5 paid contributions within 13 weeks immediately before getting sick. To ensure that your processing goes smoothly, be sure to complete and submit your claim form within 4 days of the first day of illness.
Thanks, I get it now.
Social Security.
safeguarding you, your family, your future.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
Video on demand. Coming soon. If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we are doing some Trending Talks Tuesdays because it is Tuesday, and this is when I give you a rundown of what has been trending on social media, both in Belize and abroad. And this week, a lot has been going on, and we're going to start the show by mentioning what was the biggest trend in social media in Belize over the past few days. Undoubtedly, you probably know what I'm talking about already, and that is the situation with Panga and his funeral. Now, of course, the situation was that he, of course, was tragically killed last week, and his funeral was held on Saturday. But of course, that came with its own, with a whole lot of different situations, and it was the #1 trending topic, of course. And we saw that at over certain points, over 10,000 people were watching the video live at certain points. And of course, we've given you the rundown in several different newscasts about all of the things which happened there. So I won't go into too much detail, but as you know, he was laid to rest. There was, and apart from the typical things which happen at funeral, there were reports of fights, and of course, there there was a lot of buzz on social media about it, as has this story has been followed over the past few months since last year. And so this was, of course, the biggest topic, and I just wanted to mention that because, you know, it was everywhere. And what happened at the funeral, what happened afterwards, there were reports of, you know, of grave robbing, because he was supposedly buried with a whole lot of valuables and cash. And people have been buzzing all about what has been taking place there. And that was, of course, the biggest trend on social media in Belize over the past weekend. And another thing which we mentioned earlier on in the show that had Belize trending, people were talking about it both here and abroad, was that the famous rapper Kehlani was here. There she is running through the field somewhere, I think that is somewhere down south. But of course, that was buzzing because she did post on her Instagram that she was here. She did post her location as being in Belize. So everybody knew both here and abroad that she was here. And as we say, as we were mentioning in the beginning of the show, we've been seeing lots of celebrity sightings in the country over the past few weeks. And hopefully that is bringing some positive attention to Belize. She's looking like she had a great time there. And we hope that she did have a good time and that maybe she'll encourage some more people to come and see what we're all about. But that was another thing which we wanted to mention. Now, one other topic which probably broke the internet yesterday was the announcement that Rihanna is pregnant, and she and her current boyfriend A$AP Rocky are expecting their first child. She made the announcement in these pictures which we can see, and of course we wish her the best because Rihanna, of course, we can list all of her accomplishments from her music to her makeup line, to her clothing line. So of course this is great news, but as with any big announcement like this and any big social media trends, some people were also joking about it. So there were lots of tweets, lots of memes that came out just yesterday. This one was one of my favorites because, as we know, over the past few years, Rihanna hasn't come out with an album. People have been asking, the fans have been asking. So here's this tweet saying, when Rihanna's baby comes out, saying, "Mom, where's the album?" We also have a picture of her, Rihanna, on the red carpet in 7 years, chasing after her little child. That was a funny one. This one, when Rihanna's baby sees that Rihanna is her mom, she's going to have that reaction. This is one of my favorite memes from the Flavor of Love. And we also had people saying Rihanna got pregnant just to get back at me, SMH. I know there was a lot of broken hearts yesterday when she made that announcement. So I was laughing at a lot of these tweets. They were really funny. But once again, we wish Rihanna and A$AP Rocky the best. Another interesting trend which came out from yesterday was because there was another pregnancy, well, not so much a pregnancy announcement, but photos were released of Nick Cannon at a gender reveal party, and he subsequently confirmed that yes, he and his, I'm not sure if, I don't think he confirmed whether it was his current girlfriend, but he's expecting his 8th child. And of course, with that said, lots of people were running with a lot of jokes and memes because, of course, he has been famous for the amount of children he's been having, especially with lots of different women. So we saw the tweet just now saying that, when God said, "Go forth and multiply," Nick Cannon said, "Say less." Then there's some other tweets which I thought were really funny, talking about, does he even date women or does he just show up with prenatal vitamins and an on-boarding package? Then, it's really interesting to see some of these tweets. I found them really funny. And of course, people were running with a lot of jokes about Nick Cannon and the amount of kids he has. And this was one of my favorite ones. It's talking about the year 2100. Queen is still alive, and 1 in every 15 people on Earth is a direct descendant of Nick Cannon. So that was another big trend from yesterday. We do, of course, want to wish Nick and his family the best for, the child that's about to come into the world. But people couldn't help but take the opportunity to make light of the situation, and we had some funny memes and tweets. But those were some of the trending topics which I found over the past few days. Of course, if you have some suggestions, feel free to message us at Open Your Eyes or send me a message. And I like to laugh. I love memes. So, those were the trending talks this week.
And all I thought seeing her outfit was, one, she looks gorgeous, but I'm so worried she's going to trip over her jeans.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's like, you have a baby now, be careful.
Yeah, I also noted the fashion is something to note in the picture too.
And did the pink mean she's having a girl?
Yeah, I thought about that too.
There you go. Of course, thank you, Gavin, for giving us a bit of the rundown as to what is trending on social media. I don't think anyone could have missed the news about Rihanna's baby yesterday, but it is great news for people who are in a happy point in their life. But that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OIE Belize.
And you can also find us on Facebook.
Yep, at Open Your Eyes
right.
BZ.
All right, remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.